I mean, obviously, it's nothing like playing at home. I don't know. I am a free agent next year, but
Next question.
We'll see.
Young man, right
Possibility.
All right, that sound that you heard was Anthony Davis talking to a group of people. There was a lot of Chicago memorabilia in that room. I don't know exactly where it was, but he did throw out there the possibility of a return to Chicago, saying, hey, you never know. I'm a free agent after this year. This is a bad look, though, isn't it?
Terrible look.
Like, you're a Laker now, and they traded for you to make a run. Even if you just can't put this out there.
No, and I don't think there was any agenda
on
his part.
I think he was kind of thought he was being cute.
He was being cute, asked a question, but I think he got a little too cute. And hopefully it doesn't become a major distraction for them. But those are the type of things, like it's an ember.
Right.
I hate to, you got wildfires, right? Like they happen. The wind catches that thing, and then now it's like a national story. And that's just what they can't afford in LA right now because they're playing well.
Right.
And, they look like the team that has the chops possibly. You can't afford for there to be distractions. Or even like for a LeBron to be like, is this dude going to leave?
Right.
Like you don't need that. It's the last thing they needed.
It's probably not a big deal. What would you do? Because I guarantee this is going to happen. The next time he faces, because that was like it's some sort of function, right? I don't know what exactly it was, but he was playing to the crowd, and he probably didn't realize it was going to get blown up. But what do you say if you're Anthony Davis when he gets back in front of the Lakers beat writers who say, what did you mean? What do you say?
I clean that right up. I say
I was joking, or
I said, listen, I have a great affinity for Chicago. It's my hometown. And I was, I was asked a question, and I was just voicing how much I love Chicago. But I'm a Laker. I'm here to win championships. There will be no more discussions about, possibly going to Chicago or anywhere else. We are on a quest for a championship, and that's all I care about right now.
You know what else is going to happen until he gets a long-term deal, a new deal with the Lakers? This is always going to be brought up. And when you see odds and opinion pieces that are put out there, potential landing spots, they're going to hang on to this and say, Chicago's always an option because you said this.
Of course, but you brought that on yourself. But all he can do now is continue to say, guess what? I am a Laker.
Right.
That's whenever as soon as he starts to open his mouth, I'm a Laker.
Yes.
I'm a Laker. Right. I'm a Laker. I want to win a championship. That's it. That's all I'm doing.
Right. But even still, if you say, I'm focused
on
a
Laker.
Yes. But it's he created this now.
No, he did.
Because now he probably wouldn't have to answer. And you saw Kevin Durant. It drove Kevin Durant up the wall last year, having to answer it all the time.
You have to. I'm a Laker.
Yes.
No.
Just get out in front of it as quickly as you can. That wasn't the only controversial thing he said in there. New Yorkers might be upset at this one. I've always assumed, I think it is worthy of debate, that New York City was the mecca of basketball.
Yeah.
Have you heard otherwise? Have you ever heard of another team? Because Anthony Davis, speaking of Chicago, brought this one up.
You call it the mecca of basketball, right? What makes you say that about the city?
I mean, it is. We got the best basketball players ever. I mean, you look at, the history, all the guys we got, and that made the league, and even the guys that didn't make the league, They say New York, but it's not even close.
All right, so your thoughts, your initial reaction?
Chicago's never been referred to as the mecca, on a national scale.
Right.
But Chicago basketball is legit. When I was my dad's from Chicago, and I go visit my grandparents on the South Side every summer, and my dad and my uncle would take me to the men's leagues there. I forget what the league was called. I was little, but MJ and those guys would play in it. Isaiah Thomas in the summertime, they were fantastic events. The basketball, and he hit the nail on the head. There are a lot of guys from Chicago that have never made the NBA that are phenomenal. But just let me give you a list of names.
All right.
Isaiah Thomas, Derrick Rose, Dwayne Wade, Tim Hardaway, Mo Cheeks, Anthony Davis, George Dan Mikan, Doc Rivers, Mark Aguirre, Andre Iguodala, Corey Maggette, Sean Marion, Michael Finley, Fred VanVleet. They put out a lot of talent in Chicago. And it's never really got the national buzz like New York, because New York's New York.
Right.
But don't get them twisted. They put out a lot of good basketball.
I have seen some people push back. He referenced the best player ever to come, as Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Because he played for the Bulls, but he's not from there. He's from North Carolina, right?
Right.
So I don't know. I think
you don't get to claim that.
No, you don't get to claim that. I think he could have had a better answer prepared if you're going to. But I'm sure he was just talking. He's just, hey, my hometown. Do they have an equivalent of a Rucker Park, sort of a legendary place? I don't know. I'm sure they do have a park.
I'm sure they do. I don't know what it's called.
Right. Would you push back at people that say, because I've seen some arguments unfold where, hey, the Knicks haven't been relevant. How can you call New York the mecca when they haven't been that great as of recent? It's still the history is there.
Yeah, I think
even
it's
in
the
New York
history-
City, like
I think
high
it's
school
the
basketball
culture
hasn't been that
of
great.
basketball in New York, not just the Knicks. Like, I think it's for a long time, like, New York playgrounds and the kids that were coming out of New York were just, so much more advanced. They were probably one of the first real cities for kids to just walk around with balls in their hands all the time, right?
Yeah.
And so for the longest, like a kid from Florida, would never really compete with the kid from New York just because they were that much more advanced basketball wise and the options to play were so more abundant. But other places have caught up in that regard. New York's still really good, but they don't hold that same advantage that they held maybe 2 decades ago in terms of like grassroots, just we're all about basketball type of city.
Maybe if they get things figured out in Brooklyn or with the Knicks, maybe they will. Maybe they will be.
No, I mean they're still dope. Don't get that twisted. You're talking about Rucker and what's the other park that all Dykeman and all of those parks that they go to.
Even historically, you had St. John's. Like you had some college programs that were pretty good and legit, and there was a lot of excitement around basketball.
Basketball's still king. I'm just saying other.
And they
cities,
still have like those Christmas tournaments at the Garden. The Garden's the mecca. Like
Absolutely.
think about that from that aspect. So yeah, I definitely would disagree with AD, but some good points by you. That Chicago's not that far behind.
Former Pelican, current Laker, Anthony Davis. He's actually a Chicago native, though. So he was there in Chicago. He surprised some local boys and girls basketball teams. And one of the young athletes was brave enough to ask him, would you consider coming to play for the Bulls? So he had a response. We want to show you the full quote there. He said, quote, honestly, it's nothing like playing at home. I don't know. I mean, I am a free agent next year, but we'll see. It's a possibility. So, was that just a nice gesture to keep the kids happy, or could this be a real possibility?
I think it was a nice gesture to keep the kids happy, and I think he was trying to do what would sort of play well in the room without thinking of the wider consequences. We saw Anthony Davis get himself in a sort of PR nightmare last year with the way that he orchestrated his exit from New Orleans and how awkward that got. So I don't know, maybe I should have been expecting worse from him this year, but I was shocked when I saw this quote. I just don't think that will go over well in Los Angeles at all.